Your garden might look like a slice of paradise to you, but to snakes, rodents, and insects, it can look like a five-star resort with free room service. Believe it or not, some of the most popular plants in American yards are quietly rolling out the welcome mat for slithering visitors and creepy crawlies. Today, we're revealing 15 garden plants that secretly invite snakes and pests, and what you can do about it. Let's dig in. Number 1. English ivy. English ivy is one of the most popular ground covers in America, and it's easy to see why. It's evergreen, it grows just about anywhere, and it gives your yard that charming storybook look. But here's the problem. That thick, tangled mat of leaves is basically a luxury apartment complex for pests. Underneath the foliage, the air stays cool, dark, and damp. Exactly the kind of microclimate that rats, mice, slugs, and snails love. And once the rodents move in, guess who shows up next? That's right, snakes. Snakes don't actually care about your plants, they care about shelter and food. English ivy conveniently provides both. On top of that, standing moisture trapped under the ivy canopy gives mosquitoes a shady place to rest during the day. And when ivy climbs your walls, its rootlets can work into siding and mortar, giving insects a direct route into your home. To make matters worse, English ivy is considered invasive in many parts of the United States, including the Pacific Northwest and much of the East Coast, where it climbs trees and smothers native plants. If you love the look of ivy, keep it trimmed low and away from your home's foundation, and rake out fallen leaves regularly. Better yet, swap it for a less dense, native ground cover so the critters have nowhere to hide. Number 2, pampas grass. Pampas grass makes a dramatic statement with its feathery plumes that can tower 10 feet high. It's a landscaper's favorite for privacy screens and borders. Unfortunately, it also makes a dramatic statement to every snake in the neighborhood. Those dense clumps create a shaded, protected pocket at the base, a perfect daytime hideout for snakes trying to escape the heat. Rodents and rabbits also love to nest in the thick tussocks, which only sweetens the deal for hungry serpents. And there's more. Old pampas grass builds up layers of dead, dry foliage inside the clump, which becomes a haven for insects, and in dry regions, a genuine fire hazard. In California, pampas grass is even classified as an invasive plant because it spreads so aggressively along the coast. If you're keeping yours, cut it back hard every year in late winter to remove that dead thatch and plant it well away from patios, play areas, and doorways. Your ankles will thank you. And one more warning. Pampas grass leaves have edges sharp enough to slice skin, so always wear long sleeves and gloves when you're working around it. Many gardeners learn that lesson exactly once. Number 3, creeping juniper. Creeping juniper is the go-to plant for covering slopes and filling awkward corners. It's drought-tolerant, low-maintenance, and stays green all year. But ask any pest control professional which plant they find snakes under most often, and juniper will be near the top of the list. Those low, dense, prickly branches form a roof over the soil that stays cool and humid even in the middle of summer. Snakes can slip underneath, completely hidden from hawks and humans, and wait for mice and lizards to wander by. Junipers have insect problems of their own too. They're notoriously prone to spider mites and bagworms, which can turn whole sections of the plant brown seemingly overnight. If you have juniper near walkways or your home, prune it up off the ground so light and air can reach the soil underneath. Snakes hate exposure. Take away the cover, and they'll usually take the hint. This matters even more in copperhead country. Copperheads are ambush hunters that rely on staying hidden, and low evergreen ground covers like juniper are among their favorite suburban hiding spots, according to wildlife extension specialists across the Southeast. Number 4, hostas. Hostas are the darlings of shade gardens across America. With their lush, oversized leaves, they can make even the gloomiest corner look tropical. Sadly, pests love them just as much as gardeners do. Hostas are famously called deer candy because deer will mow them down to stubs overnight. Slugs and snails are even worse. They chew ragged holes through the leaves and use the dense, moist canopy underneath as their personal spa. And all that cool, damp shade under the foliage doesn't just attract slugs. It draws in toads, frogs, and small rodents, which are exactly what garter snakes and other backyard snakes are hunting for. A big, mature hosta bed is essentially a buffet with built-in privacy curtains. To fight back, water hostas in the morning instead of the evening so the soil dries out by nightfall. Keep mulch thin and consider a ring of crushed gravel around the bed. Slugs hate crossing sharp, dry surfaces, and snakes prefer beds with better room service. If slugs are still winning, sink a shallow dish of beer into the soil nearby. Slugs are drawn to the yeast, crawl in, and drown. It's an old-school trick, but it genuinely works. Number 5. Star jasmine. Star jasmine smells like heaven on a summer evening, which is why it's draped over fences and trellises all across the southern United States. But when star jasmine is used as a ground cover, which is extremely common in states like Texas, Arizona, and California, it forms a thick, sprawling mat that snakes find irresistible. The tangled stems create a shaded tunnel system where snakes can travel across your yard completely unseen. It also stays moist underneath, attracting the insects, lizards, and frogs that make up a snake's grocery list. There's a popular myth that the scent of jasmine attracts snakes. That's not true. Snakes have no interest in fragrance. What they want is the cover, the humidity, and the prey hiding inside. If you love jasmine, train it upward on a trellis instead of letting it sprawl across the ground. Vertical jasmine gives you all the perfume with none of the reptilian roommates. And whatever you do, keep any ground-hugging vines at least a couple of feet away from your foundation. Dense greenery touching the house is the #1 way snakes and insects end up in garages, crawl spaces, and basements. Number 6. Honeysuckle. Honeysuckle is a nostalgic favorite. Its sweet nectar attracts hummingbirds and butterflies, and its fragrance is pure summer. The trouble is, honeysuckle doesn't stop at hummingbirds. Its berries are a magnet for birds and small rodents, and its dense, twisting growth provides thick cover close to the ground. That combination, food plus shelter, is exactly what draws snakes into a yard. Rat snakes, in particular, are excellent climbers and will happily patrol honeysuckle thickets looking for nesting birds and mice. Japanese honeysuckle is also one of the most invasive plants in the eastern United States. It escapes gardens, smothers native shrubs, and creates exactly the kind of dense, brushy habitat that keeps pest populations booming. Dense honeysuckle thickets also give mice a protected corridor to travel along fence lines, which means the pests aren't just visiting your yard, they're commuting through it. If you want the hummingbirds without the headaches, choose native coral honeysuckle. Keep it trained on a support and prune out the tangled undergrowth every season so nothing can set up camp at the base. Number 7. Berry bushes and brambles. Blackberries, raspberries, and other bramble fruits are a backyard grower's dream. Fresh berries all summer? Yes, please. But every berry you don't pick becomes an invitation. Fallen, overripe fruit ferments on the ground and draws in ants, wasps, fruit flies, mice, rats, raccoons, and even opossums. Meanwhile, the thorny thicket itself offers rabbits and rodents a fortress where predators like hawks and cats cannot reach them. Snakes, however, can reach them just fine. To a snake, a bramble patch is a protected hunting ground stocked with food, the reptile equivalent of a drive-through. The fix isn't to rip out your berries, it's to manage them. Harvest fruit promptly, pick up drops the same day, prune the cane so light reaches the ground, and keep the patch a good distance from your house. A tidy berry patch feeds you. A neglected one feeds everything else in the county. It is also worth knowing that in colder regions, undisturbed bramble thickets can serve as winter shelter for snakes, so an end-of-season cleanup does double duty. Number 8, fruit trees. Apple, peach, plum, and fig trees are wonderful additions to any yard until the fruit starts dropping. Fallen fruit is one of the single biggest pest attractants in American backyards. As it rots, it releases sugary, fermented aromas that pull in yellow jackets, hornets, ants, and fruit flies from impressive distances. At night, the fallen fruit becomes a feast for rats, raccoons, skunks, and deer. Roof rats are especially fond of fruit trees. They will climb right up, nibble the fruit on the branch, and nest nearby to stay close to the food source. And once again, wherever rodents gather, snakes follow. Rat snakes get their name for a reason. The solution is simple but non-negotiable. Pick up dropped fruit every day or two during the season, harvest ripe fruit promptly, and prune branches so they don't touch fences or your roof line. That's a rat highway if there ever was one. Wrapping the trunk with a smooth metal band called a rat guard can also stop rodents from climbing. And be careful when collecting fallen fruit in late summer. Yellow jackets often burrow right into soft, rotting fruit, and they don't appreciate being picked up. Number 9, sunflowers. Sunflowers are cheerful, easy to grow, and kids adore them. What could possibly go wrong? Well, seeds. A single large sunflower head can hold over 1,000 seeds, and as the flower matures, those seeds start raining down onto the soil. To squirrels, chipmunks, mice, and rats, that's free food falling from the sky. Birds flock to the heads too, knocking even more seeds loose in the process. Before long, you've got a steady population of small rodents making daily visits to the base of your sunflowers. And rodent traffic is the number one thing that draws snakes into a yard. Snakes follow scent trails left by mice, the way you'd follow signs to a restaurant. You don't have to give up sunflowers, just harvest the heads as soon as the backs turn yellow-brown before the seeds start dropping, or cover maturing heads with mesh bags. Bonus, you'll get to keep the seeds for roasting instead of donating them to the neighborhood mice. If you feed birds with sunflower seed in feeders, the same rule applies. Spilled seed on the ground below a feeder is one of the most common reasons homeowners suddenly start seeing snakes near the house. Number 10, sweet corn. There's nothing like homegrown sweet corn, and unfortunately, every animal within a mile agrees with you. Corn is one of the most pest-attractive crops you can plant in a backyard. Raccoons are notorious for raiding corn patches the very night before you plan to harvest, flattening stalks and stripping ears. Deer, squirrels, and crows all want their share too. Rodents love the fallen kernels, and insects pile on as well. Corn earworms tunnel into the tips of the ears, while aphids colonize the stalks. All of that animal activity turns a corn patch into a busy little ecosystem, and busy ecosystems attract predators, including snakes hunting the mice that come for spilled kernels. If you're growing corn, a simple electric fence with 2 low strands is the most reliable raccoon deterrent, according to University Extension Services. Harvest promptly, clean up fallen kernels and old stalks, and don't let the patch sit messy after the season ends. Old stalks left standing over winter also give overwintering insects a cozy place to survive until spring, so shred or compost them as soon as the harvest is done. Number 11, bamboo. Bamboo promises instant privacy, and it delivers sometimes a little too well. Running bamboo spreads through underground rhizomes and can quickly form a thicket so dense you can barely see into it, let alone walk through it. Inside that thicket, fallen leaves pile into a thick, moist litter layer that's perfect for rats and mice to nest in. It's dark, it's protected, and it's practically predator-proof, except for snakes, which slide through bamboo groves effortlessly while hunting rodents. Bamboo is also incredibly difficult to remove once established. Homeowners have spent years and thousands of dollars trying to eradicate running bamboo, and some states and municipalities have even passed ordinances restricting it. If you want bamboo, Choose a clumping variety instead of a running one, install a proper root barrier, and rake out the leaf litter inside the grove at least once a year. A clean, contained bamboo stand is beautiful. A wild one is a rodent hotel. Keep in mind that bamboo rhizomes can travel under fences into neighboring yards too, and more than a few property disputes have started over an escaped bamboo screen. Number 12. Mulberry trees. Mulberry trees grow fast, throw generous shade, and produce sweet berries by the bucket load. Sounds great, right? Here's the catch. A mature mulberry can drop thousands of berries over several weeks, and there's no realistic way to pick them all. The fruit carpets the ground, ferments in the sun, and stains everything it touches: sidewalks, patios, cars, and the bottoms of your shoes. That rotting fruit layer becomes an all-you-can-eat buffet for ants, flies, wasps, rats, raccoons, and opossums. Birds gorge on the berries too. Then, let's just say they redecorate everything downwind. And with all those rodents and birds concentrated in one spot, snakes learn very quickly that the mulberry tree is the best hunting ground on the block. If you already have one, rake or shop vac the fallen fruit regularly during the drop season. If you're planting new, look for a fruitless mulberry variety. You'll get the shade without the mess or the wildlife convention. Just check your local regulations first. Some cities in the western U.S. have restricted certain mulberry varieties for other reasons, like their heavy pollen. Number 13, clover lawns. Clover lawns have exploded in popularity as an eco-friendly alternative to grass. They need less water, less mowing, and no fertilizer. And to be fair, clover has real benefits. But clover comes with trade-offs nobody mentions in those viral videos. It's a top food source for rabbits, which will happily move into a clover-rich yard. And where rabbits nest, snakes hunt. Voles also thrive under thick clover cover, tunneling through the soil and gnawing on nearby plant roots. And because clover blooms constantly, it keeps your lawn buzzing with bees all season, which is wonderful for pollinators, but risky for barefoot kids and anyone with a sting allergy. You don't need to tear out your clover. Just mow it regularly to limit blooms if stings are a concern, keep the edges of your yard trimmed and open, and eliminate brush piles nearby so rabbits and voles don't have anywhere to shelter between snacks. It also helps to raise your mowing height gradually rather than letting the clover grow shaggy, since voles avoid crossing short, open ground where owls and hawks can spot them. Number 14. Water lilies and pond plants. A backyard pond with water lilies is pure serenity for you and for every snake within slithering distance. Here's the chain reaction. Still water plus aquatic plants attracts insects. Insects attract frogs and toads, and frogs are one of the absolute favorite foods of water-loving snakes, including garter snakes and, in the southern U.S., cottonmouths. The lily pads themselves provide shaded cover where snakes can hunt and hide right at the water's edge. Dense pond edge plantings like cattails make the hiding even easier. On top of that, any pond without moving water becomes a mosquito nursery. Female mosquitoes lay their eggs in still water, and the sheltered pockets between plants are prime real estate. To enjoy your pond without the drama, add a pump or fountain to keep water moving, stock it with mosquito-eating fish where appropriate, and keep a strip of short, open ground around the pond's edge. Snakes are far less likely to cross exposed territory and skip the mothballs. Despite the popular myth, they don't repel snakes. They are toxic to pets and kids, and using them outdoors actually violates federal pesticide law. Number 15, roses. We're ending with a shocker, the beloved rose. How could America's favorite flower possibly be a problem? Roses are, hands down, one of the most pest-prone plants you can grow. Aphids cluster on the tender new buds by the hundreds, sucking sap and excreting sticky honeydew that then attracts ants and grows sooty mold. Japanese beetles skeletonize the leaves and devour the blooms in midsummer. Then come the spider mites, the thrips, the rose slugs, and the cane borers. And it's not just insects. Old, overgrown climbing roses and dense shrub roses create a thorny, protected tangle at the base, cool, shaded, and undisturbed. Rodents will nest under neglected rose bushes, and yes, snakes will use them for cover, knowing full well that nothing with soft skin wants to reach in after them. Keep your roses pruned open in the center, clean up fallen leaves and petals, and blast aphids off with a hose before they multiply. A well-groomed rose is stunning. An abandoned one is a fortress. As a bonus, planting garlic or chives near your roses is a time-tested companion trick. Many gardeners swear it helps keep aphid numbers down, and you get a kitchen herb out of the deal. So before you plant, remember, it's rarely the plant itself that invites trouble. It's the food, moisture, and hiding spots it provides. Keep things trimmed, tidy, and dry, and most pests will look elsewhere. Which of these plants surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, give it a like and share it with your friends. And be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a video.